Okay, all of them, Good
evening to all of you, and would like to welcome you back again from People's Go, that Way of Thought program, talk show. Let's welcome you from a warm Sunday. That now we will be talking about the rainy season military operations. What are the limitations to the military operations in the rainy season, and that to what extent that the airstrikes as well as the artillery and that airstrikes that the military has been pushing hard, or the PDF, how will they be impacted by the rainy season? And that so if you want to join us in the discussion, feel free to use the link that we have provided on their Facebook page, and then join us in the Zoom, and then you can also share. You can also ask your questions through the comments on the Facebook page as well. We also like to welcome you to share our talk show and to support the movement as well as so that more people will be aware about the topics that we'll be discussing. So we'll be starting the talk show now. So first of all, we'll start talking about the ammunition that the military hunter has been using. Which departments are using them? What are they buying? Are they supplying the ammunition from the other areas? So this will be and that's how to ask these questions. I would like to invite Captain Daya. Captain Daya, are you here? Yes, I am. Oh, you can hear me? Yes, I can hear you just fine. Okay. So, Captain Jaya, the question is that, that there are defense industries where all the kapasa in Myanmar language, what we call where the weapons and ammunition are produced. How many are there? So when we call it that we call them the defense industries, and they are under the Directorate of Defense Industries, and there are 25 regiments or the 25, and there are also that we call it the Takasa, which are the major defense industry. There are three of them, three major defense industries. One is in Meitila, Takasa 1, or defense industry 1 is in Meitila, and that then we also have two factories in, and then that major defense industry 3 is in Yemavi, near the Galo area as well. But then they also have opened up for new other factories in Tombo, in Dakasa, Magui, and these are also defense industry. So rather that in short, there are 25 weapon factories under the Defense Industry Directorate. They produce weapons and ammunition. So that and then when we look at how many of these defense industry focus on the weapons production and weapons and ammunition production, what kind of weapons and that ammunition that they focus on, and where do they get their supplies? I would also like to ask you if you can share about which country which country they procure their supplies from, and that were out of 25 defense industries, about 16 of them, 16 are small, and they produce weapons and ammunition. You have small arms, you have a howitzer, you have heavy artillery, and then you have immediate artillery as well. So we are about 15 of these 25 factories produce guns and ammunition. Thank you. And other factories out of the 16 apart from 16 factories, they produce like there are those there are factories that produce explosives, that produce tungsten alloy, tungsten carbide. They also produce like failing factories that as well as on the and that bombs and grenade factory. So the raw material, as for the raw material, we buy that military buys it mostly from Russia and Serbia, and that and also Poland also provides raw materials as well, and that so there are also factories where you use the raw materials that are produced locally inside Myanmar. So what about the right now that the Air Force has started using bombs that they have been bombing them? So what which factory, which defense industry is producing these bombs that the Air Force is using? Well, that it will be the GI-20 and 21 that produce the bombs as well. That 20 and 21 they are situated in Magui region near Gason area. They produce FAE. And they produce FAE bomb that we call it the fuel air explosives, FAE bombs they produce, and they also produce I think last week Captain Setua also discussed about the FAE, where they would deploy the bombs, and the bomb will use the air as fuel to explode, and it will cause that even when the people are not hit by the sharpness, the people get killed by the explosion, and these are the FAEs that are being produced in these factories. Thank you for answering. Now I would like to ask another speaker, and that I would also like to ask. I have a question for our participants. Have you been that this is the first time you're joining us on our talk show, and that or have you watched our talk show before as well? And then what are your recommendations? How can we improve our talk show? And also we like to, if you have any particular questions, feel free to use the comment or the chat box to ask us question, and also to please like and share so that more people will be able to see and talk show and learn more about the information as well. So as the next speaker, I would like to invite Captain Thuta. And Captain Taya explained about the defense industries, and that there are many defense industries that they are producing the weapons, ammunition. So I would like to know that right now that military is using a lot of air support as well as artillery support. So what about these that artillery forces? When do they act? When they deploy? What kind of weaponry they use, as well as and and how are they also how do they also provide that military support as well? Well, when we say artillery, that 81 millimeter they're using at the unit level, but at the same time these are like we cannot carry them, so it depends on the camp and then on the base. If it is a command base where we have a regiment commander, then they will have artillery as well, and also when you have when you have 3 or 4 regiments, that kind of base camp, yes, you will have 120, and you will have that you have artillery such as 120 or 88 that they have also have targets as well. They have targets for the units. They also have the targets for the regiment and such, but these weapons are difficult to the mortars, and that very difficult to carry, especially 120 millimeter mortars right now. Now Mach 2 is quite heavy, so it's very difficult. This Mach 2, Mach 1 was easier that can be transported easily, and some of the mortars you cannot carry without a car, without vehicles available. So that even if they want to use these artillery, these mortars, that we need they have to be there should be distance between 25 to 30 feet distance. So the best is that they should be separated 20 meters, so that these will be so that means that these mortars, to be able to deploy these mortars in the camps, if we have four mortars, and then we need a camp like a half of the football field, then you'll be able to use 4 mortars. To be able to do that, to have that, then they will not be able to they will need to be also be able to use that to fight against that manifold. They do have artillery, they have heavy artillery, they have the mortars, but that they are fighting enemies who are fighting as a guerrilla warfare. So it will be very hard for them to use artillery to hit the enemy hard as well. So the enemy are not together in one place, so that they can. That's why that's how they cannot use the artillery. In terms of ammunition, also there are limitations as well. Our units are limited because every camp will get 50 mortars, like 50. That if it is maybe they have they will have about 50 50, so they cannot the 50 units. So what we know is that even that there are also camps where they cannot even provide food or logistics. So to provide ammunition, it will also be very difficult as well. Thank you for sharing. So so now this is the rainy season as well. The rainy season. So under the rainy season, do you think that these heavy artillery could be impacted by the weather, by the monsoon, and what are the limitations to this artillery that the military is using? I think in the rainy season that that to be able to fire artillery during the rainy season is very difficult. When I was serving under the military, I was also there. I was a unit commander. I was a unit commander for artillery that for missile artillery unit. The main thing about the artillery is that we cannot get what, especially that when we have these guns cannot be repaired, and we cannot we cannot set them on it as well, because if we are not using the artillery, it should be covered, it had to be airtight. What we do is that we will have the turbulent sheets wrapping them around. So to fire the heavy artillery, to fire mortars and rockets artillery, then we can't. They can only maybe we can open it up for 5 minutes, but we don't have the kind of experts as well. We don't have when we try to because there's a crew also weak also that because it takes that the crew cannot shoot it in 5 minutes, so they will need to at least 30 to an hour to do that. But when you set the mortars, these mortars what we call it that it goes by the distance as well. So if we put it in a building, then this is difficult, because these mortars can turn at 360 degrees. So if you have a roof on it, because if you're shooting with a gun, if you're in the small end as a 0.5, you can shoot from the under a shelter, but there are limitations as well, and that they get that when you're not shooting, all the roofing, all the covers have to be removed. So it's quite difficult. So when it's raining, it will be very difficult for them to do as well. Maybe even when they use, and that can also the gear or the equipment could be destroyed as well. That is so what happened that when it's raining, if it is just one mortar, it doesn't make a much difference. But we have 4, 3, and then we've got, because we need to have a base, the base must be settled very well as well, and that this ground also need to be hardened, because in the rainy season, because the water is really water will just go through the trees. So something the base was sort of like that dig into the soil, so that means that the base is not solid enough, so that the targeting will not be precise. So there are a lot of limitations as to the artillery in the rainy season. The biggest limitation is the rain, and and also the light as well. Without the light, it will be very difficult as well. That when we put it, when we have to use that when we try to direct it at night without the light, it takes 15 minutes to be able to get it. During the day, it will be much faster. So at night, it will be harder. So that it is for the artillery. I think if we want to overcome the artillery, then it will be rainy season. Rainy season will be very difficult. That will not be effective, and that at night also will be difficult. Another information I would like to share is that inside the military, that So there are areas where they hope to have. If we look at it, it's like okay, let's say that we have okay, the 360 degree, half of them is 180. So when a person stands up and then if he raises his hands, then that's 180 degree. That's easier to shoot at. But if we have more than one target, for example, like we have enemy to the south of the camp, then like you say PDF at the south, and then we also have another at the back at the back as well. So when you have two areas to target, two enemy side target, they cannot do it because artillery does not focus on precision, because artillery is not on that as well. So that let's be very clear about that, because what they do is search fire. Then they will do a search fire, and then once we know that what the mortar will fail, when we at a 0 point, and with the compass we know once we get them, then will be then the next fire will be targeted to destroy the enemy. So that the first so you have to make a decision on that. So you listen, so it will usually we follow the sound of the fighting in the beginning. So this is a very much an open secret, so that I'm sure military also will be as Hadar will be listening. So we have to use trickery, so that if you're going to fight, then if you think that they have artillery, then they will listen to the first 1 minute of the fight. Then the artillery crew will be targeting that area. So the area should be a mirage, so that you need to have at least 2 to 3 places to trick them, so that you will really fight from another place. And then the girls of the artillery, they have to prepare. When they start hearing again the Afghan shot, then they if it is you are fighting from the far, they will definitely focus on the they're getting the artillery. So if it is within the 180 degree, they hear that within the 180 degree, that's the enemy. Because I'm talking about battle, let's say the enemy is there. So there you are there, then the gunner will decide. Okay, so within the 180 degrees, this is where I'm hearing the enemy from. So he will try to target the area. And if that target was just baiting that artillery, then they would the one who are baiting had to be very fast, because that artillery can turn 360 degree, but they are better for them to reach the ground zero in a way that it takes about 10 to 15 minutes. So it takes time. They cannot switch front to back or south and west like that. Especially the Ghana crew from Myanmar, from the military, got the crew. Some of the crew are very strong. Some of the crews are good. Some of the crew are not that good. So they take a lot of time. So my advice to those who are fighting that will be the artillery is powerful, ammunition is powerful. They can threaten the life, but they have weaknesses. They cannot walk during the rain, and that also that's the same goes. It goes the same for most ammunition. But if you are under a shelter, then the gun can still walk. But the artillery cannot walk at a shelter, at a roof, and that they will not walk. So it is it will be very hard for them. That's the first point I would like to make. Secondly, they need light. That artillery weapons need light, so that without it, they will not be able to have a clear targeting. So if you are using darkness, it could also be helpful for you. Another point is that these artillery will shoot at indirect targets. When we do the indirect targets, and then they cannot, they cannot shoot directly. What they have to do is they have to find the target and then start firing as well. So you can play tricks on them. Let's say that the team one will, then one will start that, and that the team one will make sure that the enemy is there, and they are like in the then if you want to capture the camp, and that that you have to make them confused. You have to make sure that the enemy's artillery doesn't know where to target. So don't start with where you actually going to fight them. Start from somewhere else. It is also, you can also play tricks as well. So I think it is also important that when you have 3 groups, and then which group will be the real group, so that the real fighters, the enemy will be having difficulty. So you don't have to put it every time, but sometimes the first gunfire they hear might be the real place, but there are limitations to this, and there's something the fighters can use. Another point I would like to share is that so these guns, especially artillery, like a 120. 120 set up in a camp, and they cannot fire within 800 meters because of the way, because of these artillery guns are set up. They cannot fire within like 800 meters, because if it is too close, the fighters do like a 120 millimeter. That if enemy is within 800 meters, they cannot fire, because the 120 millimeter artillery, for example, it has a range. It has a target range of for 200 meters. So the SSC will not be, the military hunter will not be able. Their fighters, they also just will not be able to fight as well, because if they shoot it, then they can also be harmed. They can get injured. So if you have if you have camps that has 120, then if you can get closer to them to 400 meters, then you don't have to worry about. But like a BABR, for example, like they can only fire within within 1,000 meters. That can be dangerous. So you have to be aware about it as well, because they use it in their close range as well. And 120, there are also in the camps where you have 120, they usually bury them with a 0.5. You all know about 0.5. 0.5 can reach as far as 4,000 meters, and that the most effective is between 100 and 1,000, 1,500 meters. So you have to be aware about that as well. And that 0.5 can be moved, but 0.5 they usually set up and then use it to this. So 0.5 that we can also you can also use they use tricks in a way to use tactics to change the targeting of the 0.5. Artilleries are powerful, but they have limitations. So that's why they have to have like 0.5. Like it is also important that because they will not be able to, that this kind of artillery, this kind of unit, because they cannot change immediately, because they are only shooting within 150 meters. That they can go for as far as 1,000, 1,500. They will not be shooting far. They will be shooting here as well. If they have a 120 millimeter, if they have 0.5, then we have to be careful that they don't have much. You have to understand about the space that they can cover, and if you can use the tactics to get them target in the areas where you are not really leading your forces into, that will be very useful. Thank you for your answer. It's very comprehensive. So that thank you for sharing about the limitations of the artillery units, as well as on the operation as well. So I also like to request that I would like to share to the audience, and that either you are from the defense forces, or if you have friends or family in the defense forces, the information that has been shared by our speakers about the limitations of the artillery units, the limitations artillery. So if you are thinking about targeting that military, that camps, then what you should be thinking about for the tactics. So please share as well, and then also please help us by sharing so that more people will be see. But if you have any questions you want to ask, you can also use the Zoom link that we have shared on the Facebook page. But at the end of the talk show, we will have a question and answer session. Then you feel free to ask. We are also welcome to write comments, so that we can do. We also like to request you again to share, and then to like and share our talk show live streaming as well. Now, I would like to ask Captain Zedua, who has tried the CDM from the Air Force. Captain Zedua? So we have discussed about the defense industry, and then Captain Yeduda also share about the artillery unit and its limitations as well. So that to you, I would like to know that I would like to know is that what about the Air Force? I would like to ask you a few questions about the Air Force. My first question is that rainy season has started in Myanmar. So that what are the limitations for the Air Force? What are the issues, the challenges when you have for the scouting, as well as for the and then providing air support. The difficulty in the rainy season is the weather. The weather can be very difficult, and that the weather makes it difficult because when it's rainy, then we call it mood data, and then there's a cumulonimbus. Also, cumulonimbus and then that it can also be created that cumulonimbus can also cause thunderstorms. So we have to be very very afraid of such clouds. That that they are multi-level clouds, standing high in the sky. Then because inside the clouds there could be lightning, and that also there could also be a lot of turbulence as well. There are also updraft and downdraft, and that these updraft and downdraft are that that sometimes that when we also have it, they also can also have like us that downdrafts as strong that winds are happening inside these downdrafts as well, and that so that during the rainy season, we try to avoid such cumulonimbus clouds. These clouds that are not just for the Air Force. Every pilot around the world, not just from the Air Force, have to be very careful as well, because they get these clouds that in the rainy season. How do we fly? That if you are flying from one airport to another, that we look at we call it our route. We look at the route, and then we look at we gather all the weather from that as well. So and that around the flight route, so we have to find focus. So because that what we try to find focus is that so let's say we ask for the data in there where we will land, the airport where we will land, and we also look at the weather. We also look at the weather focus for along the route. We use application, for example, like there are applications about measuring the wind as well, like the weather application. People use weather applications differently. There are many weather applications. We look at them, and then we find the weather focus, and then we fly to the field. What you need to know on route, the flights do not have a difficulty, but what we need to know is that when you are going to the destination point, that we can avoid this weather, but on the route. However, when if there is such weather in the fighting area where the battle is going on, it will be very difficult for us to fight the weather and then provide airstrike, because that weather, if you fight this weather, it's like committing suicide. You are flying blind, and it's very dangerous. So no pilots will take the risk. And what do these cumulonimbus look like? There's a clouds. So the cumulonimbus need to understand that what these clouds look like. So that in Myanmar we call them moderator, or they are often called as kino clouds. So we've seen such cumulonimbus clouds as well. Often these clouds are like they are vertical, they are very standing high into the sky in the towers or blooms, and before it starts to rain and it brings precipitation. And when these cumulonimbus clouds came, then the weather immediately gets cold as well. It also brings the wind. It gets the temperature down, and then you feel that, and when things started to cool down, and that because when these clouds that that if there is such a cumulonimbus clouds out there, I mean, even if there is light outside, that the pilot for the pilot it will be very difficult to start target shooting, because what we call it the downdrafts. There are very strong downdraft, and we call it the microbus, and these are the microbus are there. So in that turbulence, and these downdraft and microdrafts are in those clouds. So that the PDF need to understand this kind of clouds, and that the pilots will be in the weather conditions, the CB or the cumulonimbus or the thunderstorm. We have to be very careful. So we will be very aware about this as well. So I think you also have shared about it in the earlier discussion as well. I think they also have they also have shared information as well. So that let's say that that if the military to use airstrike, I think as part of thank you for sharing. And my next question to you is what can the local defense forces do to protect themselves from the airstrike? the main thing is the PDF were fighting on the ground that would like to know, like in the and then understand about the weather of your area, because in the rainy season is the natural limitation as well, and that no one can create those limitations, and no one can also that is cannot stop it from happening. So we need to I think it is PDF are all locals, our local communities, so they need to they know best about the weather condition as well. Since they know best about the weather condition, and that you need to know that in what kind of weather, like there will be it will be raining, it will be cloudy, so you know that in which season or time. So use applications, there are many weather application uses, so you can also you can understand about the weather focus as well. Another point is that even during the day, if there is such weather in the middle of the day, and then at night in the evening when it's dark, then it will be extremely hard for them to fight, because if such weather is happening, none of the planes will be able to run airstrikes. It's impossible. Especially if it's hard during the week, it will even be harder during the night as well. So that these are the answers from the Captain Zidian about because the way the military has been using Air Force to provide airstrikes to their ground troops, and these are the points Captain Zidian has raised as well. Now I would like to invite Captain Taya once again that so before we give the question, before I give the question to the next speaker, I would like to remind you that we do have a question and answer session, and please ask your questions like Q&A box, and then also raise your hand, also that we can also give you a chance to speak answer. And if you're watching us on the Facebook, then you can also put your questions in the comments as well. Then also please don't forget to like and share so that more people will be aware about our show as well. Captain Taya. So Zeduan has also shared about about the rainy season and then also that airstrike that the Air Force will be as well have a limitation. So what I would like to know, and what the people who are listening also like to know, and the local PDF forces, what they would like to know is that FAE bombs and the cluster bombs that can you also explain about the clusters and FAE bombs that the airstrikes are using, how that affected these bombs are, where are these bombs being produced, and how are these bombs what was the purpose in the production of these bombs?
I will
start with the cluster bombs. Well, cluster bombs, like internationally, cluster bombs are limited because it is very dangerous, and that is because of its danger. It is prohibited in the international by the international community. So because cluster bombs, the nature of the cluster is that once a bomb is dropped, and then the bombs will spread out as well, and when a flight dropped cluster bombs. So what happened is that it will in the air, it will start exploding for the first time, and then through this, and then the once it's exploded in the air, there will also be smaller bombs that come out of the cluster, and that and when they fell on the ground, that these smaller bombs will explode immediately, and but then also what happened is that if they don't explode immediately, they become mines as well. They become mines, like sort of like landmines, and then they will explode once again. So that's why they are dangerous, and that's why they are prohibited as well. And when there is, after even after the war, if you had used cluster bombs, and then these smaller cluster will be still these and exploded ordnance will remain active as mine. That's why international community has prohibited cluster bombs as a weapon too dangerous for use as well. But as its military is still using cluster bombs. So what you are saying is that cluster bombs prohibited by the international community, because once the cluster bombs are deployed, if they don't explode, then they could become as at least an exploded ordnance will become can still an explosive will still be dangerous to the community who are at the risk of the landmine. So that also means that military is using prohibited weapons as well. Next question, I would like that Captain Thuta has shared about the artillery. What are its limitations? What you can do when you are attacking a base camp as well. So that what I would like to know is that I think I already asked the question. I just like to reiterate as well, which defense industries are producing mortars for the artillery, like 120 millimeter. Are they being supplied from foreign countries, or are they being produced locally in the defense industry? Well, the defense industry 12, that is in the town, they produce mortars. They do that, and then we call it that they also produce a barrel. Also, they will just barrel in the Thaya township in Mawai division. So, and the defense industry 8, I think, is in it's near Downwinji. Also, they produce parts to it in Mawai region. They produce parts. So DI8 produced that, and DI2, Defense Industry 2, I think it also in Mawai, near in Malone Village in Mila Township. They also produce 105, 81, 60, and then they also produce howitzer mortars as well. As for the FAE, the fuel air explosives, are they use that by causing explosion in the air, and that they use it to that. It's a thermobaric weapon. This one the fuel air explosive consists of fuel container with 2 separate explosive, and then they use the air, they will change the air pressure to kill the people. So that also they are also producing the as well that. So I would like to thank you for sharing. I would like to invite Captain Sedua. Are you present here? Yes. So we have asked about the defense industry. We also talk about the artillery. You also have shared about the Air Force as well, and the airstrikes and its limitations. So now I'd like to talk about the army, the ground troops. So I will be able to. I think I will be answers. I will be able to answer. So do you have any question regarding the ground troops? So Captain Yamin, you serve in the military, in the army, and that you've been in the operations, and that you also know about that as well. So what are the limitations? What are the limitations for that as well? So in the rainy season So what the challenges we have are that there are 2 types of challenges. We will say that because there are different, we'll say that we can also say those are base regiments, as well as on that you have that we also have the regiments that are being deployed on the front lines as well. That during the rainy season, they have those, if you are the base in your camp, then for that you don't have difficulty for the food supply, but for those who are who are being deployed on the front line, they have difficulty because rice will get wet. They can also have challenges and difficulties for the ammunition as well. When we say ammunition, and that you have Uzi, and then you have the guns, and most of the guns that the military has is that whenever that if there is rainy season, they can also be very difficult result that they cannot be used during the rainy season as well. So that during the rainy season, it will have to be very aware about as well. So that those, if you are that your forces have been deployed, and then it can also be very difficult. So you have to be careful about that as well, and that some of the also so they can get wet, and also it can also be difficult as well. So the rainy season, to be very open here, that the rainy season is very difficult as well, and that that there are also a lot of problems as well, because you have to look at your soldiers, and that often they will always try to deploy themselves in the areas which are instead of setting up camp in the base, their camp in the jungle, they will stay close to their villages as well, because because one day trip will take 2 or 3 days, so it will be harder, so that they will not be able to reach the goal. So during the rainy season, so that these forces they get very tired during the rainy season, so that when you run the operation, it gets harder as well. It also has impact on us as well. So that what they will do is that during the rainy season operations, that they will be weaker in terms of provision, because they lose their morale, they are physically tired, and they are also mentally exhausted by all the conditions as well. Can I ask another question as well? And that and the Kabeng Yetuta also share about it as well, and that during the rainy season, whenever things happen, you have like 81 as well. So who is there that fall to 81, and that BATR and that 81? What are its weaknesses during the rainy season? Well, that let's say in a ground troop, that often the regiment have 2 columns. One column is the one who is running the operation, and that they know that we call it the MA7, and then that will be using using 60mm as well, and then and also with the RPG that you have also have that is as well, and that and then in that if they said base camp that they have 81, but not 81 is not there in every, because 81 when there is a commander is there, so that 81 can be there, so they don't have it. The others may have like the mini as well, and that also that I think because that one is there, but that if it is for the artillery, that the 60mm can reach about 6,000 meters, but in terms of but then you have to take time to start using the artillery. So what they use the RPG, they use also the medium artillery as well, because they aim for the close fighting. So we don't have a lot of artillery. We don't rely on artillery. Only one that we're not doing well, that we use a 60mm to target the enemy, and that let's say enemy, that they will try to find enemy and such like that, so that most forces will be that is they don't have much of artillery in like that sense for their ground troops.
Okay,
any other question?
Okay, so I don't
have a question about this, but maybe I will also like to ask that people if they have a particular question, I also like to I would like to welcome the audience, and if you're watching us, if you're listening us, so feel free to ask us questions, and so that you can also follow us as well. So that so now let's go for the question and answer session. We have 2, and so we'd like to invite. We have also have 2 hands raised. So that we like to invite. Based on the topic, does anyone would like to share anything? So you can also write it in the comment box, or you can also join us directly and then join it in the discussion as well. I would like to invite the first person. So as the first person, I would like to invite Guado. Are you present? Guado, you have raised your hand. Guado, do you want to ask a question?
Hello?
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you, but you want to discuss what? So I want to, my question is for Captain Sidua. So please answer my question. So that you are from Air Force, so that the fighter jets are that most of the you know that fighter jets fighters or the pilots fighters the jet fighters coming from Milano. Which area do they go there from? Mogwai Air Force, Mogwai Air Base. Where do they go? Where do they run their operations? And those, if you're from which area, where do they target? Yes, can you answer this question? Yes, I can. So those who are from the Mingalado or Mobi, if you are from if the flights are leaving from Mobi or Mingalado, that Mingalado Airport or the Mobi Air Base, then they usually go to the lower part of Myanmar to so the main objectives for that as well, and they don't because of the distance also they will not be able to go far as well, so that they aim at the south. In Molemyai, there are two Mi-35. There are two Mi-35 planes. So that in the south of Myanmar, in the area from Molemyai, then in the Molemyai area, this will also be as well, and that. And also there was also a question, and that Meitila Air Base or the Nebido Air Base, that Tanghu Air Base, there are also jets which will be deployed from that as well. They also can be deployed also from Namsam as well. In Namsam, we have B5 planes, and in the Daewoo Air Base, we have YK130. We call it we call it 130. That Jet 130s are there, and that Jet 130 is can go to most areas in Myanmar. In Meitila Air Base, that the flights will go. Do you have a K8? K8 usually go. They usually deploy K8. K8 goes to Kaya State. So they can only go to Kaya State. K also is in Tanghu. That there are also K8s in the Tanghu area as well. In addition, from Nebido Air Force, they have Mi-35, and right now they are using scout planes. We call it scout planes. That their patrol. We call it the MPA. That is the ATR-42. And the EUIR, that are also these often they send them from the Nebido, also from the Mingalado as well, from the Tanghu Air Base. However, Tanghu Air Base have a 29, and they have F7, and they have K8. So that most recently, I think they have Su-30s. They have Su-30. As we call it, the Su-30, they are newly arrived in the Nebido, and that's so the Mi-35P, Mi-30P that moved to Tanghu camp, so that from the Tanghu base, they can also target Kaya and in Papua area, Papua and Becho. They can attack forested, and then from there also they can also the Mi-35P, and also can. It's a combat radius, so that so they have 8 nautical miles, and that within the nautical miles they can also be targeted as well, and that so usually they are from the Tanghu camp towards the Kaya State as well. That's all I would like to answer. Thank you. I have 2 other questions, and that I would like to ask Captain Daya.
Hello? Okay.
Please go ahead. What's your question? Please go ahead. So my question to Captain Daya is that you explained about the cluster bombs, that you talk about the cluster bombs, and that the cluster bombs are So in a, I mean, like in the cluster bomb, are they allowed to use it, cluster bombs, cluster weapons in a civil war according to the international standards, like Geneva Convention, and that there are standards and principles. So that I would like to know that can they be used as well?
Okay,
so that do you also get the Captain Daya? Do you get the question from it? Yes, I did. So cluster bomb is that in the on the Geneva Convention, in everywhere the cluster bombs are prohibited as well, prohibited. So they can we can say that they are not allowed to use and they are not allowed to use at all. That's what the answer. But the problem is that military is using them, so that they're violating the international conventions in using them, and that will be my answer. In that case, then does it constitute a clear violation of war crimes? But you can take it like that, I would say. I just want to ask you this because so because Myanmar, what is happening in Myanmar is more of like a civil war, but the fact that they are using they are using the prohibited weapon is not in the right way, and that they are also violating that is Geneva Convention. And I just want to check with you. Thank you. I have let me ask another question to Captain Hiduda. Okay, please go ahead. So maybe it was you or maybe Captain Senior, because we are we respect you and the work that you do. So that so once I think one of the officers have presented about which regiments are placed in which area. I don't know who posted it, but yeah, I just want to know. So if it is possible, can you also share which regiments are posted in which area, that where are they, which, and that want to know, like as far as like which battalions who are located in which area. So can you also share about the structure of the commands as well? I think I wasn't sure exactly, but which divisions are that are based in which area. Can you also share this again? I've once saw a post. I wasn't sure if your post or it is that of a Captain CEO. I think it would, because some of the people are not aware about that. So it will be good of us sometimes, because it can be very bad, because sometimes some of the people don't know the battalions or the divisions in our community. We don't even know which command as well, which military command as well. So please share. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yes, so I think when Yududa is attending another meeting, so he will not be able to answer immediately. But your recommendation point about sharing, we have taken note of it and will share it. That Captain Yududa as well. Captain Yududa, if the Captain Yududa is busy, and then then we will also to share that as well. We have we'll look at our posts before, so that people will know which divisions and which battalions are based in which area. So I want to ask Captain Yeli, because I want to ask all the speakers questions this time, so that Captain Yeli will share earlier that there are people, amount of people, there are those who don't know about what are the differences between this light infantry as well as the reserve forces, and how the reserve forces, how do they provide support as well? Can you also share about that? People don't understand often about about the as well. So Thank you for your question, because sometimes people don't know, because whenever they see the military, they don't know, but if it is they don't know what to fight as well, and that so that even when because they know that they are wearing uniform, so they know that they know that they're soldier, but they don't even know from which government as well. Sometimes that even that you cannot see clearly, they can change their badge, so that people will understand that which their commands are. That is that. So I would like to know what are the differences as well, that you have gone through this same thing. So it is, please share that what are the differences as well, the way how they run military operations as well, that so how do they do that as well, that so that we can also know about so people prepare and worry about it as well. Thank you. So like you say, have explained that so it will be also difficult to explain as well, so that only those even for even to understand the badge, when you see the badge that you are not familiar, even if we serve in the military, that we don't know which badge represent who as well. So I think it is important that because there are many badges, so it's kind of hard also to recognize as well. They are not that important to recognize the heart, like because the who is to be able to know who they are. I think also this will be difficult as well. That so I think it is also important to be to know that to be able to just make a note of it, but it's important. It will be it's also very difficult to recognize. So just to look at the name will difficult. That just to know that they are from which battalion division will be enough. So that if we also would like to welcome you to that we also would like to give take turn to also to give questions to the questions given in the comment box as well. That and that in the rainy season, so one first question we have received is that I think I would like to invite Moitaya to respond to the question. In the rainy season, if we use stronger ammunition, will it be more effective in the rainy season? Taya, if you are present here, we have a question from the audience as well, and that the question is that the question in the comment is that I think could be from the PDF or the Democratic Forces as well, so that that in the rainy season, sometimes ammunition do not explode easily. So if we use more, explosive in the ammunition, will it be better will it be better? Will it be more effective? I don't think so. I don't think it will work, because the rainy we say when it gets what the gun will not fire. It doesn't matter if you are explosive because it depends on the explosive. Explosive is what or not, because if the more explosive, then if you are the gunner could be impacted as well, because if there are too much explosive, then the barrel will explode and the gunner will be impacted. So don't put more explosive in it. Don't put more explosive, because that will be dangerous, because it's that if the explosive get what and they get what. So there could be, if they're too much explosive, that could be dangerous for the gunner who is using that weapon. Here is also that another person who have raised the hand. Murray.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Yes. You can also hear me. Yes, we can hear you. Who would like to discuss? So that so I have 4 questions and I will go one by one. The first question is that when you talk about that, there are about 500 infantry forces, and that those who can fight can be between the 150 people. So that there are also forces which are not there. So that and that. What I understand is that since the 1990s, there are in the military that they said that there are always 2 lists. That there was the real list of soldier is 1, and the other list is just to present as well. And that so the mainly is about those who can the fighting forces those who are running their command, do they really don't know about how many are there, or that if you're in the forces, that educated educated officers and the soldiers, how many are there in the military power? Because often the military have a two list of personnel, one who are really serving and one is just on paper. So I would like to, this is my first question. I would like to, I think I'll try to answer the first question now, because if it is like, then because if there are too many questions, it will also be hard to remember. So to respond to your first question, I would like to invite Kunao Yu to answer this question. Kunao Yu, are you here? Yes, I'm here. And so what about the question she's asking is that sometimes the number of forces on paper, and that as well, and that this is also, is it being hidden or by it, or that is a military where about this that two lists of soldiers? It's not true. It's not true. But they said that there are also, if there are differences in terms of data, yes, there are often discrepancy in the data, because it's been for many years that we have a lot of deserters. There are a lot of deserters, and that are lots of deserters, and that sometimes you cannot also always be you report. Also, the ground units are facing that challenge, and then they do whatever they can to resolve the situation, so that maybe they could be on the ground, but they don't have it, so that that sometimes the list of those who are there on the ground may be different from the others as well. So it can also happen in other areas. So there can also be differences as well. Then we cannot say two lists. They don't have actually two lists, but there are discrepancy in terms of lists and actual numbers. And this is also, it has been happening for nearly over a decade. So it has also getting worse as well. For the ground troops, that how many are there? That I think that there are 522 divisions, 120 divisions there. Those who can really fight on the ground, who can, according to the update, I think less than 100 as well. So that these are that there are also be that some of the, there are about 120. So only they could also infantry regiment can only have so if you have 160 in the infantry regiments, they could also be sometimes the data are not updated, and that there are a lot of those are not displayed. So only about 100 forces can also be deployed as well. During that, what you are seeing, what they have been deployed is that they are all soldiers are there. All the soldiers, they don't have a new generation. We have noticed is that soldiers are above 40 years of age, 45. And we don't see young people there. We don't see young people who are in their 80, who are in their 20s or 30s as well. So if we consider like there are 150 per regiment, then we'll say the 150, because if you combine all military, the army and the navy and the air force, there would be a certain number. I would say that that was all your question. But that there are, what about educated service personnel? Well, rather than education, I would say more about this being able to make the critical. They are also getting better at that for the amount the new generation, for example, like after 90, the officers who are in contact with this as well. What we noticed that they are compared to the other the first generation, they have better ideas. They also understand and they stand for the truth as well. That's something that is my that's my personal opinion as well. I will not be talking about the details because I don't have the message. I know how to see that as well. So I'm answering this question based on that as well. And then why are they not? In that case, why they're joining? Then why you know joining the people's side? Then there could also be limitation as well. That they could be waiting for the situation, and that they would definitely be joining this side as well. So that's why I would like to answer. Thank you very much. Thank you. So that too, and they can on the ground as well. That so those so Syai Midura also wants to answer the question. So Syai Midura, I would like to give you the floor. Syai Midura, you want to answer the question? Syai Midura, Sergeant Midura. Okay, Sergeant Midura, you mentioned that you want to answer the question. Yes, sorry, I was speaking and that my mic was muted. Sorry about that. So about the military that manpower, do you want to add anything to the answer? Yes, I think Ogrong has given quite a comprehensive answer, but based on our information that that we have that the CDM, a lot of young soldiers are there, joining this year. So if you look at those CDM, they are new, so they start with if you look at their IDs and that they are young, but they started with the 5, so they are they're young people. That if you look at the reserve forces also, well, that because of their structure of literature, they may have a 900 and 600, but on the ground, they don't even have 1/3 of it as well. And that if you look at the amount of reserve forces, you also have a lot of that from the infantry and light infantry. So therefore, they have moved from, they have been demoted, they have been transferred from this because of the reason, and that often they only have older people and they don't have young men or the middle age as well. So it's the same for the same for the infantry and light infantry. So that there are people who cannot really, but they are older people are there in the ground, and that when they are fighting on the ground and they can no longer fight, they are old people as well. That's why if you look at those prisoners of war, they don't look like a soldier. They are like they are old, they are informed, they are often in the reserve forces. If they have 300 in person, about 250 will be old people, and that they are alcoholics. So that means the military is using all the power. So Brown also has already given a comprehensive answers as well. And that May, do you also want to ask that is anything? Yes. So I will put all two the conditions. I have 2 questions. I would like to put them together as well. First question is that I think Sergeant Mithria have already explained that there are older people in the military who still remain as well, and that also whenever we capture the prisoners who are alive, and then they are old and they want to leave the military and they are not allowed to leave as well. So that so what about you? Those who are joining the CDM, you're educated, an officer as well. But most of the soldiers in the hunter are that most of them are like they have a substance abuse, like they are alcoholics as well. So that in the military, that so that they are sort of like enslaving them. The soldiers are being enslaved by the military as an institution. So before, while you were in them, when you are still in the army or the Air Force, and that as a commanding officer, whenever you meet them, these the soldiers and the ground soldiers, you will see how bad that is. That that did you also get the kind of sense that people are being treated like slaves, and like that we need that you also have this idea of that we need to do the reform, we need to push reform as well. That you have that sense already even before this movement. I think it's important. So these are the 2 questions, Jenny. What we see is that this war in Myanmar, the civil war, has been happening for over 70 years, and that this military, the entire military, and that when either those who join the CDM or not will people see the military as the criminal, because you know that because you have contributed to that bloodshed as well, and then you have also have these the political training schools, and also all these lessons, and that is been so you also have your trainers who are brainwashing the military officers, and that's what I tell you. All these people, they may not be fighting, but they are brainwashing them. They are brainwashed politically. That I would like to know the differences as well between the CDMRs and those who are doing these trainings as well. So please try to answer as much as you can. Thank you for your questions. Let me answer. Okay, so please go ahead. And that, when we join the military, in the beginning, we don't notice about that, but later on, we start to see that military is doing not without the way they discriminate, the way we do want to change the system. We do want to change, and on the ground, most of the officers, the sharp and the smart and who went to work at those, these officers, these a great officer don't like the system. They know that they need to change, but then you cannot go against the mess. So we have to do that. You cannot go beyond that. In the military is what you say that so just if what you are given, and then you just stay away and don't get involved, and that so that you will not lose your situation, you will not lose what you have. So right now, so it is very difficult. It's like like everybody, you cannot have to go along with others. In the military, you cannot be there. You cannot be the extreme. There's a brainwash. You cannot be a super intelligent. You can, if you're intelligent, that you will be left behind. If you are that often you are a senior officer don't like you because you are good and you are smarter than him. They don't like it. So that you cannot like a deputy commander cannot be better than that of a commanding officer. Then the commanding officer will make you trouble as well. So that I think it's the same idea, same knowledge that you have to be aware about this as well, and that. So what they would do is you just follow what you're being asked to do and don't do more than that. And that's kind of the challenge we have. So we have to follow that as well. So that even if there are orders and the command says you cannot follow them blindly, you have to do this well. That there are those who want to change the system. There are those who want to change it. Like, I said, you want to be like a genuine, if you are a soldier, if you are like a soldier, you will never get a position. You will get a space. You are always there. And that the trainings, I like say, what I would say, the trainings, we also have attended to the trainings that merely for show, that, those, if you are getting, so when they send people to training, is that they're useless in the military, and that they will say that they cannot be used, and then he cannot do anything, he cannot be asked to do things. And these people, if you can be used, if you are useful, then you will not, if you are not useful in the military, then you will be sent to training as well. That's how they are. That and that later on, that then the government changed the policy and said that you need to have a training. So that's those who are there, that because they have been attending so many trainings, and then they get more position as well. So there are also a lot of such problems and challenges as well, that before you cannot be bright, or you cannot be super intelligent, because then you will be kicked out, or you will be you will be excluded as well. Brainwash happens everywhere. Brainwash exists there, but if you have that, there can also be good trainers, and that there can also be but so I've stayed 17 years. I've seen good people inside the military too. Thank you, for sharing. So that I think Captain Zedouan, do you want to add anything to Siama May question?
And
like we have explained before, and like we are also explained, in the military, there are good people, there are also bad people. But more often than not, that when you are in the military, then it is that there are also things that become something that you are entitled to, like that even in the DSA you have all that stuff, that you have the entitlement also in the DSA. And when you are in final year of the DSA, then you can first year are your younger people. The first year, second year, you can you can ask them to do personal things, like go and get me some snacks, or that they will be asked to they will ask you to get you water. They will also be asked you to do your cleaning, and they started doing all that, and they do that. And then in addition, after that, whenever then they go to the when you get to the when you get into the the position, and then you also do that. And sometimes if you are senior, because they love you and they are willing to do this for you, but then they do this, and it become something that they think is something that they're entitled to, and it becomes sort of like a practice that for for every one of us. It doesn't matter, like however, you have to find someone you have to pay money to do that, to wash your clothes. We don't have it in the Air Force, but we don't have Air Force in the Army. They have that, they will do everything for their seniors. They have to do senior. They have to wash the clothes of the senior. They have to wash they have to wash also that the socks and everything, and that I know they have to prepare for their food as well, and that as well, and that that's something that to do. So that what means is that the way that commanding officer tend to they consider themselves like a privilege as well. We don't like it, and we try to avoid as much as possible as well. And that when I become an officer, when I began a final year, I don't like it. When at the final year, and when I was in the military also, I will never ask them to to do that. I would always try to avoid that as well, because I don't like the system, to be very short. So because that kind of the way of thinking is not good. And that also right now also that the military, that a lot of people are staying in the military for that as well, because they consider them as a privilege as well. So thank you for the answer, and thank you to Sam Mary also for asking the questions as well. And that so maybe we have a next person. What is say?
Hello.
So Reze has raised the hand. Reze, do you want to ask a question? Reze, you have been given permission to talk. What is your question? Reze? It could be internet issue, so I will call on next person. Sign Joso, please.
Hello. Okay, sign Joso
So I don't have the sign Joso. Do you have a question you want to ask? You have raised your hand. Okay. If not, in that case, maybe it could be internet issue. So I would like to invite another person, Guang Kai. If you're here, then turn on your microphone to ask your questions. Guang Kai, please. Guang Kai. Guang Kai.
Hello. Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hello. Okay,ကြားပါလားမသိဘူးခင်ဗျ။
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ကြားရတယ်ကိုဟုတ်ကဲ့။အားရပါဝင်ဆွေးနွေးခြင်းတင်တင်ခင်ဗျာကျွန်တော်တို့
So that So I would like to wish you that good evening to all of you. My first question, I want to ask my questions one by one. Was it all right for me to, can you answer one of my questions one by one? And I think we'll go. So I do have 2 or 3 questions. I don't want to get mixed up as well. So my first question is that so the local PDFs and the local PDFs and that that EAOs that and that so what are the challenges? So that So I would like to check with you, like, what are the limitations to the local PDFs? So thank you for your question that I would like to invite Kunang Yu to answer the question. So that to the question that what are the limitations for the local PDFs and the EAOs into integrating into a single unit? That thank you. I saw your question and your first question about capturing the town. So I wanted to answer that as well. So I would like to answer based on my analysis. What is happening in Myanmar that to eradicate the military dictatorship, to be able to to be able to build the nation, the federal union. We need that unity. We need so that consolidation, and we also need a strong chain of command. And we all agree and we all understand. Then I think it is if we think that is important, that is our responsibility to find the solution. Yes. That I think it is our major weakness as well in terms of integration as well, integration of the different defense forces, and I'm sure they are also trying to resolve it as well. But here I would like to encourage NUG, because I know we need to, that I think we also have to ask questions, because if we are looking at the people, NUG will need a political power. They have a political power. They have the responsibility to resolve that issue, to be able to integrate all the forces into it. We cannot overcome that challenge. Then we will need to ask questions to NUG very, very loudly. I think it is important that also as well. That and also MOD has that have challenges as well. That for the local, my message to the local PDF is why are we fighting? And that because we want to set the people free, and that it is important, or that to that. So that we need to always remember why we are fighting back, and that we also need to understand that collaboration is the only way to win a better victory. That is as well. And that there are differences, and it is okay to have differences, and that because it is, even if there are differences, we need to find way to integrate. We need to find way to collaborate, to work together, because collaboration and that unity and integration is important. It is important to be magnanimous. It is important to look at the greater good, look at the future of the nation, the future of the people. Then we'll be able to overcome the differences in now bringing these forces together. So I also like to invite other speakers to add their perspective as well. So I just want to share this with you. Thank you, Kuyemi. So just Captain Sidhu, want to add anything to the answer? So I would like to give my personal analysis. Personal analysis is that local PDFs, and that groups they are doing their job. I would say they are doing what they can to be able to to do that, and that in doing so, and that I think they also I think the leader of this revolution is NUG. NUG government is the leader of this revolution. What the NUG government should do is my personal opinion. I support what Go Brown has said before, that you have to ask it like that we need to ask the NUG when you need to ask a lot of questions to that, and the NUG, especially in the rainy season, there are a lot of needs for that as well, because it's more than the normal situation, because the military has been in power for over 70 years, and that they have experience, and that they also have been fighting with the EAOs for the past 70 years. So they have that. Even in the rainy season, they have a lot of challenges and difficulty as well, and that but when you talk about this issue as well, and that they have in the army, they have difficulties, in the Air Force, also in the other forces as well. So right now, that I think it is important that PDF I think the BDFU, they also have the challenges and difficulties as well, and that that in these military operations currently I think it is important that the local PDS and LDF and the EAOs will all need to if they work together, then it will be easier for them to overcome. For them to be able to work together, I think the government is responsible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
so thank you.
Okay. So Gong
Kai, do you have any follow-up questions?
Hello. Okay, Gong Kai,
do you have any follow-up questions? Okay.
Hello. Oh, Gong Kai,
okay, can you hear us?
Hello.
Hello, Gong Kai. Internet difficulties. Okay, he's back.
Hello.
So, are you back on internet?
Oh,
can you hear me now? Yes, we can hear you. Do you have any other questions? I do have another question. My question is about it to be able to capture towns and cities. What is needed in towns and cities that to be able to that is so, and that also for the people in urban areas like us who live in urban areas, what can we do to assist? What can we do to support? How can we be part of these attacks against the cities and towns? And right now, given the current situation that in the border areas, military is deploying more and more more and more forces. They deploy a lot of forces in the border areas. So what about can we by strengthening the UGs and underground movement in that is by strengthening the underground movement on the ground, can we not make a military, can we not make SAC, can we not hit hard on the SAC? Thank you for the questions. I think now you should be able to take these questions.
Okay,
thank you, Koyaming. So you asked about this the MUG had talked about it as well, that this year will be of the operation there to get a military victory. That is also that they have also talked about it as well, that and that that based on what information and that I think that will also have to be used as well, and that what we knew is that that the information is that for the NUG, we have to NUG support NUG, and that and also we also need to support it. So we also need to criticize them. We also need to ask questions as well, and that that when we talk about, for us to talk about that is that to be able to capture cities and towns, then we need to know about the enemy as well, and that it is also important that to be able to get all the information as well, and that to be for the control of this, that I think it is important that for all of us to work together to be able to to fight for the control of the cities or the towns, and that we do for us to be able to do to our resistance, but we also need to understand about our situation, about the enemy situation as well. What are their strengths? What are our strengths? So what are their weaknesses? What are our weaknesses? We looking at that, what could we face? What could be the challenges? How do we do that? What are our strategy? What will be the tactics? And that all these we need to think about, as well as that is as well that we really need to think ahead and then to prepare for it, and that only then that there will be the success will be ours, because people are on our side, and that people will always be that's why that we'll be able to we're able to fight for the control of the cities as well. To that I'm not to talk about the military. Some of them are military confidential, so I will not be discussing here. But what I can say is that to what extent can we prepare and think ahead and prepare for it, to be able to fight for the control of the city, that they're fighting for the control of a city. It's not any city. That it could be area where the military doesn't have a strong defense, and then they are not expected. They are not expecting us to attack as well. And this could be area where we can get a victory. We can also be, they have to look at it from, they can also maybe make a serious threat as well. For example, like the D-Day, and that D-Day in the Second World War, and D-Day is a Normandy is a very big reach, but why did they select it for the D-Day as well? And they have suffered. They prepared this. They prepare the war for 4 years to be able to get rid of the Hitler. They need to be able to capture Europe, and to be able to capture Europe, what needs to be prevent? When Hitler's force is stronger, so they have to prepare for it, prepare to be able to do that. So we need to think about this as well. And that we have to think about in different ways, various ways, to be able to fight Normandy. That's how they did. They didn't start it as well. So this is my comment for that as well. So about capturing towns and cities as well, there for the control of the cities. I also like to invite others also to respond to the echo as well. So we have Sari Midura also present here. Sari Midura, do you want to add anything to the discussion about this? Yes, I think so that capturing and therefore the control of the town is more than that. It have to, after once you have fight, then you also have to be able to control the area as well. And that also that the EROs, I think it is also important that all the revolution forces will need to go together under the leadership of the MOD. That is needed, because once you have captured a town that, for example, like Kitchen, like they cannot just you cannot just seize Bamor. You have to capture not just Bamor. It has to be there's the same time. It has to be do that. Military cannot do that. Military hunter cannot do that as well. They only fight in one front line. They only fight the Kitchen. They want to fight the current. They do that. So that is important. They know that they cannot do that as well. So this kind of fighting for the control of the towns and cities, it has to be across a country. It has to have a founded unity, and then it is also important to need to find a way to engage and coordinate and work together. So you need also that what is blocking them, those who are working on the ground will know about what are the barriers. And I think it is also important to find ways to how we can facilitate these barriers. I think we need to ask questions to the NUG. So we are not criticizing that. We also need to do action, that the criticism should be followed by action. So it is important for those who are working, they will need to work together as well. So what is needed for this kind of so I think MOD will need to have a leadership, and they also need that is collaboration and cooperation of the ethnic organization and the PDFs and the local PDF, where they will also need to engage and work together to be able to do that. So only then we'll be able to call for a D-Day. And that means that all of us will be able to work together as well, because it is also important to be just not stop there, because you also need to be able to also to control the towns as well, not just to fight and win, but also need to control it as well, so that it is not just just fighting it, but just shooting others, because because everybody not wearing uniform is an enemy. It's not like shooting that whenever people who are wearing uniform. So the D-Day will be more of that. So you need to be more prepared for it. So that can make times it can make it. You want to add anything?
Okay. Moderator where people solution
for the D-Day, I think the commentator and Go Brown has already now you have already also explained as well that although there is a battalion, they are not really fighting on the front line, on the battlefronts as well. So it is important for us to be able to fight from all fronts. That is important, to be able to fight on all fronts at the same time. Then one thing is that to be able to fight on all fronts, then that all the fronts will be that all those, they will need transportation, they will also need logistics. There are many that there will also be errors in the problem as well, and then that also means that we'll be able to do a lot of things as well, and that like Garimindura, and you have shared before, if this happens, for be able to do that, then we need EAOs, we need PDF, we need all of us to work together to make this happen. Because if we cannot work together, then it will be very difficult to be able to call for a D-Day. That it is important that our NUG government, we need to ask NUG for the question. Asking question is important because that we want them to be able to be able to get the Spring Revolution in the short time. There is that this is our point we made for that as well. In addition, that look, and also important for the local PDFs, and that all of that also need a collaboration. They need collaboration to work together for that as well. Another important point is that when these fighting, when these did they happen and they are fighting, because the battle area is very wide as well. Right now, even in area like Sakai and the Moso, in area like also in the Miauri area, in these areas, now there's fighting is going on in those areas. No, there are also fighting is happening in other area, but it's much less. In the Sakai area, that they don't have much weapons, so they are focusing on these areas. So if that happens, that when the battle start, it is important that the villages are being burned down. The villages are being burned down, and the community are also like I say, they will not make a difference that they will be shooting at the people as well. It is important that if we can open the front line in all the areas of Myanmar, then we should be able to take the loss, and then we could understand that this is the ultimate fight, and this is also where we can win. Also, we need to also I think we need to push energy government to win the war quickly. Ask the questions, and that's what I would like to analyze. Thank you. Thank you. Go okay. Any other questions?
Okay.
So that maybe because of my I do have a follow-up question for the security reason you haven't answered, but if you are not if you don't want to say for the confidential reasons for the confidential reasons or confidentiality, or that you don't have. So what I would like to know is that right now that military is that so that by when the military is fighting in their community in the other areas, can we not strengthen the UGs to fight them in the other areas, like I said before? If it is for the security reason, if you feel that it is not good, that you should not answer, then please, you don't have to answer, but I would just like to know this. So Kunayu, you planning to answer the question? I did answer it, my answer question as well, about this, about the so those are when it's for when it comes to military tactics, it's good for not for the enemy or for our side. The military strategies, and that it should not be answered, because if you hear this, that it will be like if they hear is, then it could be like sharing information. So we cannot do that as well. When it comes to military operations, please understand that will not be able to answer the question. So maybe so that's why I will not be answering, because this question is more on the military that is. Thank you. Thank you very much. And also, I think you also following our that yes, most of the time, yes, I listen to the talk show as well. That often I don't ask questions, but I don't come and ask questions. Also, we also like to welcome you to join us in the next session in the next week as well. Please join us. So that my third question, I think, it has been answered that for security reasons, that is not, it's better not. So I will just put it in the message box, and if you can answer, also feel free to answer. If not, you cannot answer, then it's okay. Yeah, that I understand. That's all. I just want to. I will not ask my third question, but I have sent it in the message. Thank you for taking the time and answer. And we feel encouraged, and that also motivated by efforts. Thank you.
So many Thai
Thank you.
Okay, so many Thai
Kosome Thai, and there was Kosome Thai. You have raised your hand.
Okay, so many Thai
If not, next, shall we call our next person? Okay.
Hello,
okay. Hello, alo mingla ba chen jaya ba la.
Okay, jaya ma
okay.
Good evening. Okay.
Good
evening to all of you. Maybe I should ask that about the cluster bombs. That I would like to have two questions about the cluster bombs, and that these cluster bombs. Not that maybe it has you have already explained about the cluster bombs, and these cluster bombs. How can we protect ourselves from the cluster bombs? And that's my first question. Second question is that these cluster bombs are the internationally these weapons are prohibited, so that and then Embassy Hunter doesn't care about the international law, so for them it's not a problem. Can also our government, can energy government, shouldn't they be that a report or file or the complaint about it? So, Captain Taya, if you're answering if you're listening to the question, can you answer? So that so I think you have already answered in your question before. So can we also request you to answer it once again? Well, for the cluster bomb before that I think before the civilian government, even during the military government, the cluster bombs are not so that they have it. I mean, they bought it. They got it from North Korea. They buy those cluster bombs from North Korea. These are the part of the weapons they have, and then later that they are producing I think they don't buy anymore. They were just producing it local, producing it so they use it in the local battle as well. That's what I would say. So that raw materials, what about the raw materials? Are they sourcing raw materials? Yes, they are sourcing raw materials locally. The only thing they bought is the technology from the outside as well. So they use local raw material. So like some of the explosive that of course so they also have to buy from the of course gunpowder will be something they do about. Can we not, if we can know about, can we do something like as blocking them, assessing their sourcing from the raw materials internally, that gunpowder for example, like that gunpowder is there are also factories which produce it's not just in the military they can be gunpowder can be produced by the factories they can be produced as well, but these are the prohibited weapons. So I mean the fact that they are using it very broadly, so can we also like how can we any advice on where we can file complaints against such use of such weapons? I think it will be NUG have to do it. I think NUG government knows it. I think it's a government because that's the duty of the government. So that I think it doesn't really concern us because it will be up to the NUG as you do as well. So because I think can we also do a campaign and there's something like that campaign to raise about this point? It might well be a better idea as well. I don't know if there is such campaign about the use of cluster bombs or not, because there are many campaigns also kind of hard to say because maybe people have forgotten about it because these are prohibited weapons. Also, it can also be difficult as well.
Okay.
So we can also share it in the group as well. Thank you for sharing. That's all I have to ask. Thank you.
Hello? Okay, ဒီအမမေးတဲ့မေးခွန်းနဲ့ပတ်သက်
Yes.
ပြီးတော့ဒီကိုနောင်ရုပ်ထပ်ပြီးတော့ဖြည့်စွက်ပြီးတော့ထပ်ဆွေးနွေးခြင်းနေပေါ့နော်
Kunayu, want to add to answer to the question? Yes, Kunayu, are you here? Yes, I'm here. So, I just want to add to the question is that here the point, what can we do? What can we do so that what can we do to be? There are many things that we can do. I just want to add to the discussion so that so it's not, we don't think about what the weapons are, what happens, ammunition that they're using, because in addition to the weapons, they are targeting the people and that they are committing crimes. So in terms of ammunition, in terms of artillery, and they could be they could easily be targeting the people as well. So that what can we do when it comes to that? I think it is the message I would like to give is to the people is that we need to do that. That we have to documentation. We have to document. We may not get all the information, that whenever it is possible, then document what they are doing as well. I think it's important because one day we'll be able to the transition justice will be able to take issue with that, because we need evidences important is needed as well. One thing we can say to the people is that it's a revolution. Revolution has been long. People are tired. People are exhausted. People are suffering. But I would like to say that we need people. We need people only to be there. Please continue to support us. That as well. And then at the same time, we need to eradicate the dictatorship. So we are doing whatever we can. Also, please document and what is happening. That whatever you do, you are contributing to the revolution. But I think it is important that all the stakeholders will be taking as well. What the people will need to do is whenever there are violations, please document, and also please support the movement as much as possible as well. That to keep record of the human rights these violations that the military as well, because a military doesn't care about we're using the prohibited weapons or not. They don't have discipline. They don't professional. Like it doesn't matter whatever UN says or whatever we say. They will use whatever they can to crush the revolution. That's how they are. So it is important that we have to understand also that different organizations will need to know and they share the information, and then also update and awareness raising to be able to do that as well, so that people will know. So people will know that how to protect themselves, how to save themselves, and also how to collect the information and get the information so people can be safe as well. And that we also will need to we also need to record and that document what is happening. So that I think that will be important as well.
Okay,
thank you for participating in the discussion. Thank you very much. And so it has been over nearly about an hour and 45 minutes. So we'd like to invite the last speakers, and then we will wrap up today's talk show. So the last person, I would like to invite Kuat Ato, are you here? Kuatu.
Hello. Okay, Kuatu,
are you here?
Okay, 19
So Kuatu may not be having a good internet connection. Then we'd like to thank all the speakers. That any speakers, anything you want to add to the discussion. So we'd like to first give a chance to Captain Taya. Anything you want to add to the discussion? Anything you want to share for any last word before we wrap up today's talk show?
Hello.
No, I don't have to add anything. Thank you. Thank you. In that case, Captain Sithuao, any message you want to give to the people as we come to a close of it? We are coming to a close. So as a closing, to say goodbye, then I would like to say that for both the local PDF and also those who are fighting as well, and all of it for the EAOs and that that it is important that we came to here we do the CDM. We talk about it because we want you to know about the military, want to have understanding about what the military is and what it do, and that when we talk about fighting, when you are fighting in the war, if you understand the enemy, then you are getting closer. You're halfway to winning the war, and that's a higher percentage as well. Another is once you know about me, and then if you know about yourself, then you get it. So it is important to understand about the enemy, and that's why we are trying to share the knowledge that we have as much as we have possible. So for that, and then for the local PDF in the rainy season, that like we have explained that there could be challenges and difficulties, and they can take measures to prevent it, and that to be able to we hope that the PDF can also set up battles that can help them achieve a victory. Thank you. That in the case that is very soon that we talk about it is important for the military for the PDF and local defense forces and to get advantage of what is happening, as well as to be able to those who participated in today's discussion. We have Captain Daya, Captain Zidua, and Captain Thuta, and then as a moderator, I'm Yemi. Our Sunday talk show, or the way of thought is we have this show every Sunday as well. Our people school are the members of the the members of officers and rank and file who have joined the military. We are also trying to provide support to those who have joined the military as well. We also like to request that the people, if you want to join, then you can. If you want to contribute to the movement, then please contact us on the Facebook page. So if we can also we are also providing assistance to the CDM soldiers and officers, so you can also join in the support as well. And also for us to we also by doing. Please also share the knowledge, so to contribute to the movement as well. Thank you very much indeed. And that I would like to end our talk show here. Thank you very much. The revolution, the victory shall be ours in this revolution. Thank you for joining us, and hope to see you again soon.
Cindy by me. How do you swear I rebel out now so not linga the night some year by young Chide Manapia, but we don't buy each other. Among the land type poema, ja soda shibu. The jare pekane sinne